Hello there, and welcome to the Pint-Sized Healing Podcast. My name is Max Thompson. Let's get started. Right, so last week I started talking to you about peace, power, and strategy, the basics of how I try and conduct myself when I'm talking to toxic people and abusers. And so last week we started by talking about peace, and it had to do with kind of venting the emotional charge or the emotions that you will feel when you're dealing with a confrontation. And so then the second step of that becomes power. And it's not really, obviously, abuse is always, like I said, way back in like episode 1 or something, abuse is always an abuse of power, right? Doesn't matter which setting, it is abuse of power. And so one of the things that is important, I find, is to figure out where your strength lies, so that the more power you can muster for yourself, the harder it then becomes for someone who's trying to undermine your power to do so, because if you're communicating with someone from a place of strength, you feel more confident, you feel more calm, and so it becomes harder for them to poke holes in your emotional mental defenses, right? And so you can think about, okay, so what are the things, when I'm talking to people, what are things that make me feel more powerful, more confident, right? So, is writing easier than talking to someone, for example? Then, write a letter. If the situation doesn't call for a letter, right? If you have to have a face-to-face confrontation with someone, still write the letter, but take it with you and read it out, right? No one said that you couldn't prepare. And if you don't want to write the full thing out, at least write out a couple of points maybe, so that you can at least say, okay, these are the 5 things that I want to have said by the end of that meeting. Perhaps your strength lies in a trusted friend that you could bring along that can hold you up a little bit, emotionally, energetically, so that there's a safe person sitting there next to you. That can give you a whole lot of strength. Maybe you feel safer when you're by making sure that you're not alone in a place, right? Especially if there's a possibility of physical violence, you might want to make sure that there's other people there to keep you safe. But I think especially just kind of look at yourself like, okay, so in what situations and when I communicate in a certain way do I feel most secure, most powerful, most self-confident, right? And what language do I communicate in when I do that, right? So do I want to, I would steer away a little bit from emotionally laden stuff, right? Like I said in last week's, like, vent the emotion before you have a conversation. But, do you feel more confident in kind of taking it to almost a legal level, right? Is it more comfortable for you to say something along the lines of, I refuse to comment, or my legal representation will be contacting you, or or do you want to just be your own, and be your own representative in that sense, and tell them what it is, and exactly how it is for you, right? You can still be calm and collected and still tell someone your truth. But I think it's important to kind of figure out for yourself where you find that confidence, so that you can use your confidence and your strength when you are preparing, or when you're going to go into the actual conversation or confrontation that you're planning for. So I hope that helps. And then next week I will go into the last step of this, which is strategy. And I hope that you will join me for that as well. See you then. Bye.